There's a power most people never discover. Not in speaking louder, not in arguing harder, not in proving you're right, but in saying absolutely nothing. This is the story of Marcus, a man who learned that sometimes silence is the most powerful response you can give. Marcus was 29 years old, working at a mid-sized tech company in Austin, Texas. He was good at his job, quiet, reliable, the kind of guy who got things done without drama. But Marcus had a problem. His manager, David, was the opposite, loud, aggressive, always needing to be the smartest person in the room. And David had decided that Marcus was an easy target. In every meeting, David would interrupt Marcus, dismiss his ideas, take credit for his work, and everyone in the office saw it happening. Marcus's coworkers would tell him, "You need to stand up for yourself. You need to fight back. You need to call him out." But Marcus didn't. He stayed silent. Not because he was weak, but because he was learning something most people never understand. Strategic silence is more powerful than any argument. One day, during a major client presentation, David publicly blamed Marcus for a project delay that wasn't his fault. In front of the entire team, in front of the executives, in front of the client. Everyone turns to look at Marcus, expecting him to defend himself, to argue, to explain. But Marcus said nothing. He just looked at David, calm, still, silent. The silence stretched. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. The room became uncomfortable. David started talking again, filling the silence, over-explaining, getting defensive. The more David talked, the worse he sounded. He started contradicting himself, making excuses, revealing that he actually didn't know the details of the project. Marcus still said nothing, just listened, watching David dig his own hole deeper with every word. After the meeting, the CEO pulled Marcus aside. "Why didn't you defend yourself in there?" Marcus thought for a moment. Then he said something the CEO never forgot. Because the truth doesn't need defense. It just needs time. The CEO was impressed by Marcus's composure. Over the next week, the CEO started paying attention, and here's what he noticed. Every time there was a conflict, David would immediately get loud, defensive, emotional. Marcus would stay calm and silent. David would fill every silence with words, often revealing his own incompetence. Marcus would speak only when he had something valuable to say. And when Marcus finally did speak, people listened. Because his words were rare, they carried weight. The CEO quietly began investigating the project delay David had blamed on Marcus. He reviewed emails, checked timestamps, talked to team members, and discovered the truth. David had changed project requirements at the last minute without telling Marcus. David had missed 3 critical deadlines himself. David had been covering his own mistakes by blaming Marcus. But here's what made Marcus's silence even more powerful. He had documented everything. Every email, every conversation, every deadline. He hadn't argued because he didn't need to. The truth spoke for itself. 2 weeks later, the CEO called Marcus into his office. "I owe you an apology," he said. "We've reviewed everything. David was wrong, and we're making changes." David was quietly moved to a different department with no direct reports. Marcus was promoted to team lead. But the real victory wasn't the promotion. It was what Marcus learned. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. When you stay silent, you don't give people ammunition to use against you. You let others reveal themselves. You maintain your dignity. You show strength, not insecurity. You force people to sit with their own actions. Marcus didn't win by being loud. He won by being silent. Here's what most people don't understand about silence. When someone attacks you, they expect a reaction. They expect you to get defensive, to argue, to explain, to fight back. But when you stay silent, it breaks the script. It creates psychological pressure. The silence forces them to deal with their own discomfort. And in that discomfort, people reveal their true character. Think about it.
Guilty people fill silence with excuses. Insecure people fill silence with attacks. Weak people fill silence with noise. But strong people, they're comfortable in silence because they know their actions will speak louder than their words ever could. Marcus learned 3 rules about strategic silence. Rule 1. Don't defend yourself immediately. When falsely accused, your first instinct is to defend yourself. Don't. Let the silence sit. Let the accuser reveal their hand. Document everything quietly. The truth will surface. Rule 2. Don't fill uncomfortable silence. When someone says something provocative, they're trying to get a reaction. If you stay silent, they'll keep talking, and the more they talk, the more they reveal. Rule 3. Speak only when your words add value. Marcus learns to ask himself, will my words make the situation better or just satisfy my ego? Most of the time, silence was the better choice. 6 months later, Marcus's team had become the highest performing team in the company, not because he was the loudest voice in the room, but because he had learned when to speak and when to stay silent. His team respected him because he never engaged in office drama. He never spoke badly about anyone. He never defended himself by attacking others. He let his work speak. And when he did speak, people listened, because his silence had given his words power. Here's what the lesson is. You don't need to defend every attack. You don't need to respond to every provocation. You don't need to prove yourself to people who've already decided not to understand you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Let your work speak. Let time reveal the truth. Let silence be your strategy. Because the people worth impressing aren't impressed by how loud you can argue. They're impressed by how calm you can remain when everyone expects you to lose control. Marcus stayed silent, and he won. Not just the promotion, but something more valuable: his dignity, his peace, and the respect of everyone watching. The next time someone tries to provoke you, remember Marcus. Take a breath, stay calm, and let your silence speak louder than their noise ever could. Because in a world where everyone is screaming to be heard, the person who stays silent is the one people actually listen to. Thank you for watching and listening to this story. Please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe this channel.